So that's got the first 5 marks sorted there. Let's now have a look at the second requirement. The second requirement is to prepare a revised calculation of the MPV and to comment on the acceptability. Now, I have a technique for doing these investment appraisal questions, and this technique, if you follow it through on virtually 99% of the questions, it's going to work. It's going to work for you if you follow this sort of approach through. There's a bit of time pressure, no denying, but we can cope with it inside the time allocation. So let's have a look at this technique. The first thing I do, and I've done this just to save a little bit of time on the video for you, is I've just drawn up my schedule. Nominal cash flows, T0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 year later T5. So because there's a time delay. There's normally 4 years and a time delay in a lot of these F9 questions. I go down, I take virtually the whole of the page, I just put a subtotal in there, and I'll just call it the project cash flows. I like to call them free cash flows. The technical name is free cash flows. That's project cash flows, free cash flows. I write in I, which is the generic letter for nominal discount rate. Put in percentage there. This will be my present value, and then my MPV is going to go in there. For scaling purposes, I'll leave myself maybe 4, 5, 6 lines and just put in a subtotal there, and I'll put in there the value known as OPNG, operating cash flow. So the operating cash flow is going there, and the very final cash flow that goes in an investment appraisal is working capital. So I just put that in there, and that gets myself to get the scaling right there. Okay, I want to get my comment in now. So here I'm going to make my decision even before I've picked up the calculator. I'm going to put my comment in here. And on the comment, I make the statement that if the net present value is positive, if the net present value is positive, comma, then shareholder, I'll write it like that, wealth will rise, hence accept the project. And by putting it like that, I've used and started with the word if. I've started with the word if, and that means if it's negative, I've also got the mark there because of the fact that I've said if it's positive, you would accept. And below that, any workings that are needed, and I'll try to keep the workings as brief as I can. Two ways of doing the investment appraisal. You can either go from top to bottom and just fill it out, or you can just pick it off, easy figures first, more difficult figures last, as you see fit. You've got to get all the figures in. I like to start with the cost of capital. I like to get the cost of capital in first of all, so I'm going to do that here as my working number 1 to get my cost of capital in. And on my cost of capital here, I've got to show the method I'm going to use for the cost of capital, which is to use off the formula sheets, which I've got here. I'm going to use the Fisher formula. The Fisher formula here is what I'm using. There it is. There's the Fisher formula I'm going to use. So let me put that in. That says 1 plus a nominal rate is equal to 1 plus a real rate multiplied by 1 plus general inflation. You've got to do the maths correct here. You must use decimals. Real cost of capital is note 9, 1 plus 0.07. General inflation is note 10, 1 plus 0.047. So let's just run that through the calculator. I use the screen calculator a lot here on this calculation. I'm going to take 1.07 and multiply that by 1.047. Hit equals. That comes out to be 1.12. So that's going to come out to be 1.12. So straight away I, deducting 1 from that, is 0.12, but we want tables 12%. 12% tables. We put that in there. That's going to be 12% tables. Now I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to start by putting in my revenue figures. So in goes my revenue figures, and they're going to be working number 2. No revenue at 0 and no revenue at what is going to be time period 5. Now this is where you've got to give yourself a saving of time. So this is what you do here. You don't want to copy things twice. You do not want to copy things twice. So you go working 2. I want us to pick up the relevant quantity for the respective year that we're dealing with. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. I want to multiply that by the selling price, which we're told in note 2 is $12. And I want to multiply that by 1 plus the specific inflation, which is 5%. 1.05% to the relevant year that we're dealing with. Year 1, year 2, year 2, etc. And leave it like that. Leave it like that. Go back up, and I'll start showing you how we calculate these using my calculator on the screen here. Year 1, 250 quantity of sales, drop in the zeros. Selling price 12, multiplied by inflation 1.05, no power needed, is power 1, 3150. So first year's figure 3150. Let's go to year 2. Year 2, I'll clear my calculator off. The quantity from the question 400. The selling price is 12, multiplied by 1.07, and that, I'll rephrase that, I meant to say 1.05, my error there, squared 2 years, that will come out to be 5292. 5292. The third one, clear it off. I'm taking a quantity of 500, multiplying it by a price of 12, timesing it by 1.05, raising it to the power of 3 years, equaling 6946. 6946. Year 4, clearing it off. I'm taking a quantity of 250,000. I'm multiplying it by a price of 12. I'm timesing that by 1.05, raised there to the power 4. Comes out to be 3647. 3647. 3647.